y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pi and I am going to be reviewing Love is Blind season 6. This is episode 7. We are back. When I tell you, I am so excited to talk about this with y'all. So Love is Blind dropped 6 episodes at one time, which they usually drop 4. So if you guys didn't watch my prior episodes, make sure you go watch those first and then come back to this one. Because I need you guys to, you got to catch up. You got to catch up. And make sure you come back, okay? Come back here and watch this one. Okay, so episode 7, it starts off with where it ended with Jimmy and Chelsea. And they're getting ready for bed. And Jimmy walks up to Chelsea and he's like, "Are you still mad at me?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "Girl, if you say so." But I guess you got to pick your battles, right? So you already gave it to the man. Like, baby went in. So if you didn't see my review on that in episode 6, please go back and watch it because Chelsea went in on Jimmy, okay? And he deserved it a little bit, but, moving on. She says no, she's not mad anymore. And again, he apologizes for like the 100th time. And she says, "I just need you to listen when I'm telling you how I'm feeling. Like, I just need you to validate those feelings for me." I'm like, the validation that this woman requires is above and beyond. Like, Chelsea, girl. Whew, Lord have mercy. So then the camera pans over to Brittany and Kenneth, and they're just doing a quick little recap of the night, and she's saying how everyone looked great together. And he proceeds to tell her about the conversation that he had with AD. And he basically goes straight into, she brought up the children, having, you taking care of Black children, basically. And do I think that you are going to be equipped or okay or prepared to be a white woman raising Black children? So Brittany was like, okay. She was like, well, I don't have a problem with the questions as long as I know that, there was like no malice, no ill intent behind it. And Kenneth is like, no, I don't feel like there was no ill intent. I feel like it was a well-rounded conversation. Brittany was like, as long as there's no ill intent, I'm cool, I'm good with it. She proceeds to say, she's a Black woman, you're a Black man, so I understand how she could bring that topic up in a conversation because, she can relate to things that I can't, being a white woman. And then Brittany proceeds to say, this is something, Brittany says she has dealt with these type of questions in the past. Did I not tell y'all? I said it. I called it out. I said, this is not Brittany's first rodeo. Brittany has definitely been with Black men. Now, let's go back real quick. Because is it me? Or when Brittany said in the pods, what is your ethnicity? She was trying to make sure she got her Black man. I feel like Brittany only dates Black men. Let me know what y'all think. But I really feel like Brittany only dates Black men. That's why she was like, I need to ask this question. I don't care about Love is Blind. Baby, it ain't blind over here. I need to ask this question. And she needed to get it. She could hear it in the voice, but she needed confirmation. Confirmation. And that's what Brittany got. She got her Black man. I hope she knows what she signed up for. But we're going to get there. Moving on. So Kenneth is like, yeah, I don't feel like, there was no ill intent. And we also have to be prepared for when you meet my family. He said he has a female best friend. They're going to ask these same type of questions. And, he was like, my family loves me. They go hard for me. They want to make sure they're going to love you because you're a bomb ass person. But they want to make sure that I know what I'm getting into. Like, you're the woman for me, basically. And so she said, well, I can understand that, but how do you determine if we're good? Because he says they're going to want to know if we're good. She says, what does that look like for you? And he said, well, I know that you have dated black men in the past. He says, this is normal for you. So you are going to be prepared for this. However, I need to see it. And so she's like, okay, so the words need to align. The actions need to align with the words. And he's like, yes. And she was like, okay. I ain't never had a problem with that. Brittany like, baby, bring it on. I ain't never had a problem with that. I got this. I got this. So I like Brittany. I really do. I like Kenneth and Brittany. But we're going to get more into them later. So then we see Laura and Jeremy, and they're sitting out like on the dock somewhere, and they're talking about last night. Laura is basically in the confessional saying how Jeremy slept on the couch and he iced her out. She was not happy about it, and I don't blame her. I do not like going to sleep mad when me and my partner are, you know, at odds or have had even the smallest argument. Let's go ahead and talk this out before we go to bed. That's how I am. So Laura is saying, well, when I'm telling you something that is a joke, I need you to learn how to shut the F up, right? She's basically saying that whole bean dip joke should have never came out. And I'm thinking, no, boo, it should have never been said. It should have never been done. Why are you going around smacking people's boobs? Like, it's not funny, and that don't hurt. Like, what is wrong with you? So she tells him, like, that should have never came out. Like, I need you to know, like, that's a joke. Like, that's an inside joke between me and you. That should have never came out. And he's like, yeah, I know. I apologize. But she's also more so concerned about the fact that he iced her out and he didn't talk to her for the rest of the night. And she thought, like, I mean, is this it? Like, what? Because if you remember when they were back, when they were all together for the first time, and she went to talk to him after everything was said and done, he was like, I'm ready to go home. And she was like home to our room over there? Or are you talking about home, like back to the U.S.? And he's like, I think he said like back home. So he confirmed, like he was ready to just like call it quits. And I'm like, you gonna call it quits over that? Jeremy, you're not ready. That was like so minute, in my opinion. That was not nothing to call it quits over, but I digress. So he does, you know, own up to what he did, and he apologizes. And Laura makes it a point to let him know that in the real world, if this would have happened, she would have been out of there. She said, in the past, I communicated, but in the real world, baby, deuces. So then we see Amy and Johnny, and they're horseback riding. Amy and Johnny, like, they're just, I don't want to say boring, because that's kind of like me, but, you know, they are just like, they haven't had any issues, and that's what they're talking about in this moment. They're basically saying, you know, how much they like each other, the chemistry that they have, the sexual attraction that they have for one another, and just everything is just flowing. And they're just waiting on that moment when they have their first argument, because they really want to have it before they get married, because they would like to know how they're going to navigate through conflict or through any type of disagreement, because they haven't experienced it yet. And Amy, I can't remember if it was Amy or Johnny, but one of them say, I'm pretty sure it's going to come when we live together. And I'm thinking, you think? Because I told y'all when they saw each other, and Amy kept saying she's only been with ethnic men. She's never been with, I guess, Caucasian men or whoever. So, you know, this is not the normal person that she would go for. I kept saying they're all lovey-dovey. Everything looks good. They're getting this great edit. Hold your horses, because it's coming. It's coming. So I believe we're going to see it in the next episode or two. So then we see Brittany and Kenneth on a yacht. And oh my God, when I tell you it was so beautiful, I love being on a yacht. I am not the girl that likes to get in the water, but to be on the yacht real cute with a drink, with a cute little outfit on. It doesn't have to be a bathing suit, but it could be a cute little outfit that I slayed in, with a nice little drink, and I gotta have me some good music, preferably some Beyonce. With my man, he probably gonna tell me to cut Beyonce off, but I ain't. And That is the vibe. Like, this whole scenery was everything for me. But for them, not so much. So Kenneth is sitting there and he's quiet. And so Brittany is trying to spark up some conversation, right? So she says, I'm so happy. And he's like, yeah, me too. And then it's just like crickets. It's like crickets, really. And finally, thank you, sweet baby Jesus. Brittany, I think they both kind of see it at the same time. They see like this dolphin, I guess a place where you can go and swim with the dolphins, right? So she's like, oh my God, dolphins. And he's like, so he gets uber excited. He's like, oh my God, dolphins. He was like, I love dolphins. And she's like, oh my God. He said, this is what we should have done. Have you ever swum with dolphins before? And she's like, I've never swum with dolphins before. And he's like, oh my God. When I was in the Bahamas, I would swim with dolphins. The dolphin I swim with was phenomenal. The dolphin's name was Ken. And she's like, oh my God, that is so cool. Like, you can do like dolphin kisses on the nose. And he's like, yes, I did that. I did the dolphin kisses on the nose and I got a dolphin keychain. He's like, now you got me talking. Baby, when I tell you Ken lit up like a Christmas tree, we have never even seen Ken this excited about Brittany. I was like, my God, today he was excited about those dolphins. So once they pass the dolphins, it's back to crickets. Brittany, again, she tries to spark up conversation, right? She has her hand on his thigh, and she says, so do you like physical touch? And he's like, yeah. She's like, okay, so tell me more about that. Because he's just like, yeah, and it's just like, that's it. She said, well, yeah, tell me more about that. He's like, well, I feel like physical touch is like affirmation to let a person know that you know how much you care about them, you love them. It's just a way to show love and affection because, it is one of the 5, what is it called? So it's acts of services, quality time, gifts, physical touch, and words of affirmation. So I guess they didn't get into this when they were in the pods. Because you would think that would be something that they would discuss in the pods, right? Okay. He says he loves physical touch, he feels like, he shows a great amount of physical affection towards her. And he was like, you don't feel bombarded? She like, no, sir, you never touch me. Well, I ain't gonna say never, but she was like, you could, you could amp it up just a tad. And he's like, really? Like, I thought you would be like overwhelmed. And she was like, no, like you really could touch me more. And he said, like, that's crazy because I've always been told that, I show like so much affection. She's like, not around these parts. So that right there led me to believe that maybe Kenneth is not into Brittany as much as I originally thought, or as much as he originally thought. More to come. So now the camera pans over to Clay and AD. They're both like, they can't wait to see how everything's gonna be when they get back home. And AD is like, yes, I can't wait to walk around town and show you off. And I'm thinking, AD, you still my girl. You still my girl. Like, you are. But girl, he's supposed to be saying that about you. Have you seen yourself? Oh my God. AD. I'm not saying that a woman cannot show off a man. I'm not saying that. However, it's like she's giving more energy to this idea of like arm candy than he is in this moment. And I just feel like AD is always doing the most, like gassing him up, like, I don't know. Maybe it's me. It could be me. Y'all let me know. But AD needs to bring it down by 4-5 notches. Okay? So then we see Clay is trying to figure out what he's going to eat. Well, not even really figuring out. He's letting AD know, ooh, I want me some soup. I want me some shrimp. I can't wait. And immediately I got hungry. I'm like, dang. One thing about me, I love some soup. I will eat soup on a hot day. I love soup. Like, it is my favorite, especially when I'm trying to lose weight. But even when I ain't trying to lose weight, I love soup, especially like a gumbo, like a seafood. That's my favorite. Because I'm a Florida girl and I love seafood. Anybody that knows Florida girls, baby, we eat seafood 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes 7. So when he said that, he was right up my alley. But I will say, Clay picked up that bowl and started slurping that soup up like he was about 5 years old. And again, I understand because I would do the same thing, right? But not at a restaurant. I'm only going to do that at my house. I was like, Clay, where's your table manners? Whoo, Lord have mercy. AD, baby, you got your work cut out for you, sis. So after they're finished eating, there's like an awkward silence between the two of them as well. And I think the name of this episode is called Silence, and I see why. So there was this awkward silence, and Clay, I guess he felt a little awkward. So he starts, getting the plates and, putting everything together and piling it up for the waiter or waitress, which is something that I do because I used to be a waitress back in the day. So, and I hate a table just full of food, like plates and stuff. Because sometimes it takes the server to come back to clean the table off. And I hate just like everything sitting in my face. So I'd rather pack everything up really nice. So it can, I can scoot it to the side and the waitress can come pick it up. And also I don't have to talk all over it, right? So that's what Clay did in this moment. But I feel like he was just kind of like doing it because they weren't talking. Starts talking about how he doesn't want to let AD down. And she's just like, so you're going to let me down? And he's like, no, that's not what I said. I said, I don't want to let you down. And so he goes into this whole thing about how he has PTSD from his childhood and like healthy relationships and stuff like that. And she's like, where did all this come from? Like, it was out of left field or whatever. And he's just saying like, no, like I'm saying like, and I do feel like it was like Clay he can just change like in a blink of an eye. I do. It was given bipolar. It really was, because he was just so happy and, I can't wait to get back and da 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 da. And then he went to this whole like, man, I just hope I don't let you down. Sir, we were just happy 4 seconds ago. What happened? But he says like his mind wanders off a lot and, he gets in his head. I think that's a big issue with him. And he does speak about going to therapy and relationship therapy with her, which I do think that he needs to go to personal therapy and maybe even family therapy. Well, probably not family therapy because he's 30-something years old. But he definitely needs to go to therapy for himself, and he spoke about going to relationship therapy. So at least he is acknowledging it and he's saying that he wants to work on himself. So I do give him kudos for that, because in this moment, it definitely was like a light switch for me and for AD. So then we see everyone, they're getting ready to go to the beach. All the couples get to meet up again. And Chelsea and Laura were talking, and they were talking about their guys, and AD kind of joined in and was like, what are y'all talking about? What y'all said? Because I think she overheard them, and she said, y'all had sex? And Chelsea was like, we tussle. Oh, that's what we're calling it now? Tussling? I guess you could call it that. She was like, oh, we tussle. So all 3 of them have been smashing. So then we see AD and Jimmy, and he's basically apologizing. He's like, I'm sorry, that I kind of embarrassed you last night or whatever. And I'm thinking in my mind, you really didn't embarrass her. You said that to Chelsea quietly, like directly. Chelsea was the one who announced it to the group and had everybody looking at AD's body. So really it was Chelsea, but I understand he's apologizing. AD accepts it. And she was like, I'm sorry, that happened. He's like, well, actually, really, it helped us. It helped our relationship. That fight helped us. I don't know if it did. I guess you could say in a way that it did, because Chelsea and Jimmy don't seem as awkward as they were. So maybe it did. We'll see. So then we see Jeremy, and he's talking with Laura, and they're talking about Amy, and she is saying how, you know, they have like this sexual chemistry that's just like so phenomenal, and she knows that, you know, basically, you know, they're knocking it out in the sheets. And Johnny's like, no, actually we're not. We're going really, really slow because Amy is not on birth control, right? We don't want to have any slip-ups. So we're just going to go slow. And he was saying something how he thought that all women were on birth control. What? No, all women are not on birth control. And he said, and Laura was like, he was like, you know, I just found out, you know, that all women aren't on birth control. I just assumed that. And they were just basically talking about how, you know, hormones do different things to different people's bodies. And some women don't even want that in their bodies. So, no, all women are not on birth control, Johnny. So then we see Jeremy and AD now have a conversation. And he apologizes for last night. And again, she's receptive to the apology. And he asks her about Clay, and then he tells her that, you know, one thing that I have noticed about Clay, like when we were in the pods, that, you know, sometimes like he like kind of it gets in these zones, and when he's in those zones, I realize that I kind of like just, you know, need to let him be in that by himself and kind of like back up a little bit. And AD was like, okay, thank you, God, because I thought for a moment that it was me. So I'm glad that you're telling me this. It makes me feel a little bit better that now that I know this is just kind of like who he is, and it's not only who he is when he's with me. So she was very appreciative for Jeremy giving her that little piece of information. So next we see Jeremy, and he's now talking with Amy. And she's telling him how basically the same thing that her and Johnny have been talking about. Everything is going so great, and she loves the vibe and the energy, and they connect on so many different levels. However, she's never lived with a man before. And she's also scared for Jeremy to meet her father because she's always dated men, ethnic men. We know that. And her dad doesn't particularly approve of this process. He's a very traditional guy because, you know, in their culture, they do things the traditional way. So she's a little scared about that. And then, so those are the things that are kind of worrying her. Jeremy starts talking about the difference between Laura and Sarah. And he was saying how him and Laura talked about everything. They connected on so many different levels. But with Sarah, they were always having so much fun, and he never got like a serious moment out of her. So that's kind of why he didn't pick her. And he said something to the effect like, that's why I want to see her. You know, I really want to see her one more time because I want to let her know that, you know, that's kind of like the reason why I didn't pick her. And I wouldn't mind being friends with Sarah after this. And I'm like, stop, hold up. When Sarah asked you what she could have done differently, that was the time for you to tell Sarah that, you know what, I feel like me and you only connected like on this like fun level, and we never dug deep, and I need to go deeper with someone, and I have that deeper connection with Laura. You told her no. You like literally said, no, I don't think so. And then now you're saying that you want to meet her. If you're truly happy with Laura, why do you need to meet Sarah, sir? You don't need to meet Sarah, which of course you're going to meet her because you're on the show. But you're saying that you want to meet her. And we're going to see why soon. So then we see Jimmy and Chelsea, and they're chit-chatting about the whole trip. And she's asking him what is his favorite part about the trip. Well, at first he's saying like how he enjoyed everything. And, you know, he has to always reassure her, like, I love being with you, which is fine. You know, they just met only like 12, 13 days ago. So that's fine. But for some reason, it's just like, it's like when Chelsea is like fishing for stuff, and she's getting ready to do that right now. So she was like, so what was your favorite part? And before the man could even answer the question, she says, don't tell me what your least favorite part is. I'm like, why do you ask these things? Why do you even bring these topics up? Because once he tells you, you're going to feel some type of way. Stop doing that to yourself, Joe. Please stop. He answers it in a way where he makes her feel like he's about to say something about the two of them. And he's like, I love those taquitos on the beach. And I was just trying to eat so many. Like, oh my God, I was trying to eat them so fast. I bit my lip. And she was like, oh my God, what? He was like, yeah. He was like, my lip was bleeding. Like I was spitting out blood. And she's like, oh my God, it was that bad? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, that's what you get. You was trying to eat all the chiquitas up from everybody. You said you had like 5 of them. I don't even know, what a chiquita is really. Is it Chiquita? Taquita. Or I'm talking about chiquitas, Laura. Is it taquitas? Obviously, I don't eat them. I'm very plain. All I eat is like tacos and nachos. Yeah, that's it. So I think it's taquitas. But anyways, he was trying to eat all the taquitas from before everybody else got them. So he said he ate like 5 of them and he was eating them super fast that he bit his lip. And so Chelsea was like, oh my God. So it wasn't like, I thought you were going to say like our argument was the worst part. I'm like, girl, why are you bringing this up? But he was like, no, like, I feel like that helped us. And she's like, yeah, that's true. And I'm like, thank God. Amy and Johnny are in the pool and he asked her, what is one of her pet peeves about him? And he says, or she says, I can't think of anything, like really nothing. And then he says, guess what? And she says, what? He says, chicken butt. And I'm thinking in my mind, that's a pet peeve right there because that is so corny. And before I can get my whole thought out, she says, that's it right there. That's my pet peeve because you say it at least once a day. He acts like that doesn't even faze him. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. He probably gonna say it again tomorrow. So Amy talks about how she always like overshares with her parents. Her parents get involved in her relationship and she has, come to the conclusion that she needs to stop doing that so much. So she's trying to back away from that, but she's warning Johnny about her parents. And he says, well, that's okay because I like to get the opinions of my sibling and my parents as well. But at the end of the day, I'm the one that makes the decisions. And Amy says if her dad doesn't approve, she might not be able to move forward. And I'm like, why are you here, baby? You should have did regular traditional dating. Seriously. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking the advice or listening to advice from your parents. But if you're going to do a show like Love is Blind, they're not going to understand it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like only the people who have been through this experience really, truly understand it. Meeting somebody and marrying someone in 10 days is like, wow. So they're now leaving the Dominican Republic, headed back to Charlotte, and we find out that they now have their devices back. And baby, here is Kenneth again with this Christmas tree face. His face is lit up. He's like, I'm so happy to have my device back. So we see Laura and Jeremy, and they're talking about, I think he asked her, what is something that he can do that would drive her nuts? She asks him first, and he says, leaving the dishes in the sink. And so he asked her, and of course, Laura has a list, but this time I'm really like on Laura's side. But also it's like normal things. Leaving hair in the sink, like when you shave, that is a no-no. Leaving like food around the house, that is disgusting. Leaving the lights and the TV on when you leave, that runs up the light bill. And what we're not going to do is run this light bill up because lights have gone up these days. So no, you need to turn the lights off. Even when you go to bed. Then her last thing was when you brush your teeth, spit in the sink, not on the mirror. So Jeremy's like, oh, okay. So basically, just don't live like a animal, a wild animal or a farm animal or something. He said like that. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, say less. So then we see Brittany and Kenneth get settled into their apartments because everybody is moving into their apartments. They all like stay in the same complex or whatever. And Brittany asks Kenneth, so do you want me to cook or do you want me to basically like order something? And he's like, this is our first night, baby. You got this, all that stuff that you was talking in the pods. You got to back that up. I need you to cook. You want it to be traditional? It's your time, sis, to show up. And she was like, something is telling me Brittany did not want to cook. She was like, dang. But I don't blame her. Even if she is traditional, baby was like, listen, we just flew in. We unpacking. We getting everything situated. I don't feel like cooking. So she was just like, okay, I guess I'll be cooking. So she, she didn't give him a hard time or anything, but that's just how I took it. And so she jumps into unpacking. She asks him if he wants to unpack. But Kenneth has his phone. And remember, I told y'all, Kenneth was super excited to get his phone. He was like, I miss my phone. Now, he is a principal, so I do understand they've been gone for like 10 days, even longer than that, 2 weeks? So they've been gone for quite some time. So, of course, I'm pretty sure he has some very important business emails and stuff that he said he was responding to. But the way that Kenneth was in that phone, it was more than emails that he was responding to. He literally wasn't even answering her questions. She was like, do you want the right side or the left side? Because she was asking him like what side of the dresser that he wanted. And he like stretched out on the bed. And she told him, she was like, okay, don't be on that phone for too long. Baby, Kenneth got up and said, I've, taken care of everything up here. I'm about to go downstairs and chill a little bit. Baby, Kenneth went down them stairs. I don't know how long he was down there because we didn't see him no more. But Brittany was definitely looking like she was almost on the verge of tears. And I said, Lord, I don't know. I don't know if Lord, not Tiffany, Jesus. I don't know if Brittany and Kenneth are going to make it. So we will see. Y'all let me know what you think. I definitely feel that their phone is going to be a problem. So let me know what y'all think. Before the episode ends, we get to see Clay and AD. And he's asking her if she spoke with her sister yet. And she's like, yes, I spoke with my sister. I spoke with my nephew. I spoke with my other sister. She done spoke with everybody. And he was like, okay, good, cool. I spoke with my parents and they're both going to meet you. They can't wait to meet you. He was like, my dad was kind of like, wait, what's going on? I guess his dad was out of the loop of what was going on. He was like, but don't worry about it. Like, my dad is real cool. Like, he's a real suave man. And he probably might even be flirting with you a little bit. I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go. And that's when he starts telling AD about how he has never seen basically a healthy Black relationship. His father, I think he said his father was with his mother for 25 years, but after that, he always seen his father with like women. Like, his father was never single, and his father was, his father was a cheater. And so he said his father used to take him on escapades to go meet these concubines. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Then he says that then he says that he has never even told his mother about going off with these women, with his father and these women. I'm thinking, ain't no telling what this man, well, he was a young boy at that time, what he has observed, what he has heard. Like, there's no telling. I think that is crazy. But the crazy part about it is he was like, he doesn't want to put his father in the category of being a bad father because of what his father was doing. Like, he still feels like he was a good father. He loved his mother. But, he had these infidelities or whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, so you're basically saying like it's okay to cheat, but you can still love who you're with. Like, two things can be true at the same time. And I don't know if AD was paying attention in this moment, but Clay was really, really, really giving her a lot in this moment. I hope she was paying attention, because that man has, and it makes sense now, the way that he acts and the way that he is, like it all makes sense now. And he's like, I'm fighting some demons. Clay needs to get in therapy immediately. But that was the episode, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I actually forgot to say this at the beginning of the episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Did y'all like the episode? It was pretty good. I'm excited to see what happens with Kenneth and Brittany, especially because I feel like Kenneth is starting to change, or maybe not even change, but be more so his real self. And then I think we're going to see Amy and Johnny finally have some chaos once the parents get involved. Pretty much probably everybody, because isn't that how it always goes? So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also make sure not only subscribe, but hit the bell. Notification bell alerts you whenever I drop videos. That way you don't miss out. And if you haven't seen my other videos, make sure you go back and watch the other videos, 1 through 6. You got to get caught up. And also don't forget to share the channel with everybody. See y'all in the next one. Bye.